GameMarx.
Welcome to GameMarx, the podcast for Xbox Live indie games and development. GameMarx, where gamers control the means of production.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Not the last show, but a last show.
A last show, yes.
So where do we start? Alright. This is not the first time we've reinvented what it is we're doing, right?
No.
In 2008? Are we that old? Or is Funkworks 5 years old?
Possibly.
What do the taxes say? The taxes will tell me. 'Cause I just did them. Let's see. How long have we been doing this crap? I got 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. No, we're not 2008. We're 2010. So either 2009 or 2010. Know if we incorporated Funkworks in 2009. We got a letter to the IRS. So yeah, in 2009 we formed Funkworks, and the core idea behind Funkworks at the time was me and Dylan, not boasting, both talented developers, and it's like I want to have my own company. I don't want to do consulting. Okay? That would be very easy for us to do. Still do some moonlighting, every now and then. Mine is very rare. I think you might do it more than I do, or not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
It becomes more complicated, especially now that I'm working. Actually, I think I was still working at the time for a company that does contracting. Like, if I do moonlighting,
you went from one contracting company to another contracting company. So
I actually went from like an IT department to another contract.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Conflict.
I'm not interested in that. If anybody does independent contracting, you kind of know it's not a bed of roses. Some developers who have desk jobs at corporations may think like it's all fun and games, and it is so not.
No.
It's everything you're doing at your desk job plus everything you're not doing at your desk job that somebody does for you. And it's bad clients, it's good clients. It has its moments. I did it for a year solo, a full-time contractor, and then did side work for a couple more years, and then I don't want to do that. The problem with contracting is ultimately you have hours to sell. At the end of the day, that's all you have. You have hours to sell, and you're not building any equity. You're not building any tangible IP or anything in this model. You're just selling hours. And, you'll move up. You might start at contracting $75 an hour, and you might get into $125 an hour, which is kind of where I stopped. And then, you might hit like $200 an hour. You might be able to get to a point where you're, doing good $200, $300
Which sounds like a lot, but the stuff you bill is like...
You hit that, you can bill $200 an hour. The only way that you grow is to add more hours. And the only way you add more hours, because you can't just keep working longer, is to hire more people. But you're still bound by hours. So then you build up this consulting company, but you're bound by hours. You're bound by available hours. Hours are your inventory. And actually, the more people you add, the less revenue you earn. Because the overhead to manage more people goes up, but you really can't, contracting sort of has a limit per hour that you can charge. There are companies that, rise to the very, very top and demand extreme exorbitant prices, but that's, a lot of effort to get there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying we couldn't do that. I'm not saying we couldn't go there and do that. I even have experience running a lot of a company, not just independent, but a consulting company, and kind of know what that would take and what we would need to fill in and what the numbers on that run and how that works. But I'm not interested in that. I'm glad that I'm not in that role anymore, and I got off that path early. So I told Dylan, like, you always hear people come up to you. Well, not everybody, but in our line of work, people come up to you a lot and they'll be saying, like, hey, I got a crazy idea. You should build this site for me and make lots of money. And a lot of times it's like, not a good idea. They don't understand the effort of work that's going to take. And they want to give you or me, to give the developer little to no stake in the company, but yet can't pay a proper salary. And it's like, either I'm walking away with half this motherfucker, or you're paying my current salary. And giving me a 10%, a 5% stake is not enough for me, because I've had stakes in several companies. None of them have ever been worth shit. So, I already know that stock game is bullshit. I'm not interested in it, right? Not unless we're talking like I have half the company and I have like controlling interest or voting rights to like the direction of the company. Like then I'm willing to go ahead and say like, yeah, we're doing this to build something awesome. 10%, I'm not building something awesome. I'm just getting a bonus if it goes somewhere. And it's probably not going to go anywhere because you don't get it from the beginning, right? And
the odds of anything on the internet going somewhere is just...
Even if you do get it, the odds aren't great.
Yeah. Which, if you get it, you probably wouldn't propose it.
So, I told Dylan, like, we have these ideas ourselves. And let's get together. Let's be a company. Let's figure out the ideas amongst ourselves of our own ideas that we like. Let's throw them on the wall and see which one sticks. And I didn't anticipate that 5 years later...
None of them would stick.
None of them would stick in the slightest.
I kind of did, but that's not a discussion you can have. You have to learn that.
Like, I didn't expect us quitting day jobs, but I expected of like, oh, we're bringing in like a good $30,000 a year, We're doing a respectable number, extra pocket change, is coming in.
I was not that optimistic.
Well, at the time, like the economy having crashed, like you were still working at Cope as an architect. The company doesn't even exist anymore, right?
No, it does exist, but I think it's lingering on.
Like one guy, Mr. Cope?
No, it's got some projects in the work. I keep seeing the signs around the campus, and there's a couple of other places where you can see the signs. Now, I've been to the webpage, which is almost static, but they've added a couple of new people and changed out a couple of things, gone in a new direction.
Why didn't you send a resume over?
I don't think they're going in the direction that they want me for.
They know you.
I know they know me, but they
trusted you with a shit ton of work that was probably illegal. You were supposed to be certified to do the thing that you do. Anyway, that's a different conversation. So
one that probably should have been streamed out over the internet.
Oh, whatever.
Specifics.
Most of our life has been streamed out or lived in the public eye. It's what we are.
That's the internet. That's what we're living in.
So we got together immediately because of what Cissy was doing with the Codestock t-shirt designs, and you had a mutual friend as well. There was like this need for a t-shirt site, like design and selling.
There was this need on our end for a t-shirt site. The internet had that covered.
The internet had that covered. We kind of figured out like what it would take to do a t-shirt site in this day and age, and what it would take to get to the price point you wanted. You couldn't do like we did, which was launch on a cafe press system, and then like I wanted to prove interest and volume before we like went whole hog with it. But we kind of proved like, okay, we can't sell $25 t-shirts, and we can't charge less than $25 on a cafe press system, and we don't want to risk $5,000-$6,000 printing up shirts that never sell, so we were kind of at this lock and impasse. But what we did is we started a podcast, Feel the Funk Podcast, while we built this out. And we talked about the development, we talked about the process, and then this is 2009. It's kind of a significant date for our XNA fans here because this is when XNA is like, becoming Xbox Live Indie Games. It's when community games is like popping up and it's like, here's this thing XNA and no shit, you can run it on an Xbox. And, it's like, I started messing around with it. I don't know did you start messing around with it at the same time I did? Or did you come a little later after I
had touched it before. Like, I'd bought a book and walked through parts of it. It wasn't a great book. And then I kind of dropped it, and it took me a while to get back into it. So, like,
in a weekend, pretty much made a full-featured Atari Combat clone. Like,
yeah.
Except for some menus to launch the game, like I had walls and tanks moving and bullets ricocheting and knew nothing. I grabbed the 2D example and worked through that on the site, and I grabbed the 3D example and worked through that from the Creators Club website, and then went like, okay, let me make my tank game, and then I made Atari Combat Clone, and then I remember going to a hangout, a dinner, a geek dinner we used to do in Knoxville. We really haven't done it in a while, but used to be geek dinners in Knoxville, and I brought my laptop to it, and there were some kids there, and I was just like, yeah, I got this combat game, and gave it to the kids, and they just fucking loved it. I mean, they were just all into it. And then that's just kind of where it's like, as the t-shirt site was fading, I was like, let's make a game, Like, that's what I really want to do. That's really like the dream job. Like, if I could go back and do anything, if I could go back and tell young Mike what to do, it'd be like, make some fucking games, dude. You can totally be a game developer. Because growing up, I just thought that was something I couldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, that is like, oh, you want to be a rock star? Yeah, good luck with that,
I don't know,
it took too long in my life to realize, you want to be a rock star? You be a rock star. You be a game developer? You be a game developer. All it takes is work. All it takes is practice. That's it. Practice every fucking day. Rack up 10,000 hours, and then you're going to be what you want to be. But you're going to have to put in the time. It doesn't take the whole idea of natural talent, basically. I still believe that there was such a thing as natural talent. And that I believe that you had to be in the right place at the right time, to break into an industry. And I didn't realize that, no, you could just make these little, like, there were people out there. See, growing up, like, graduating when I did, growing up early 90s and graduating when I did, like, the internet was not as big as it was. So, like, I had no idea that there were these, like, PS1 dev kits and things that you could get from the back of a magazine or stuff like that, like some of these areas. So, because I didn't get exposed to that earlier, I went very corporate with all my development because I figured, like, that was my shot. And it's like, man, if I'd gotten into this earlier, I probably would have been one of these guys that worked corporate for a while, released some games in the evening, and then those started making money, and then I left the corporate job because I was still young and single, and then, could make a go of it. But so that was the thing. I was like, let's go, let's do this, let's make this game, let's go, let's make a game, let's go, let's make a game, let's make this robot mech game, Because it was rocks.
Yes.
I mean, it was all figuring out 3D and 3D placement and objects and 3D editors and getting Cicely spun up on, just her being an architect, she's not green to 3D CAD tools, but had never used, like, a modeling for game tool. So, there were some things that she learned about that, but she made damn looking nice mech,
My first decent looking mech.
Yeah, like
I suck at robots.
It came out pretty well. We got it rigged and animated, and I was able to control it in the game and splice it all in. And we were going down that path pretty heavy. But there was a lot. I mean, going down to the 3D games, and it's like, there's going to be a lot that we didn't know. Working this out. And at that time, at this point, the podcast, we're still doing Feel the Funk. It's nothing but game talk now. Nothing but game dev, game shop dev talk. So the whole, like, this is just a generic, I think what we called it was what? Programming, design, and entrepreneurship is kind of
something like that. It was like development, basically.
Yeah, it was like corporate startups and things like that. And we had a crowd that kind of, like, was into that, and we were getting, like, a couple emails or a couple notes every now and then, like, yeah, I used to listen to you guys, but you talk a lot of game stuff now, and I've fallen out of that. So we were kind of alienating that original audience, but we were gaining a new audience as we were going on. I mean, Feel the Funk is when we interviewed James Silva. It was still Feel the Funk at that point, and we interviewed James Silva right after he launched. I Made a Game with Zombies in it, because that was like the first real like viral. And even back then, like I told him on that interview of like, that's a watershed moment. Like, you may not realize this now, but looking back at it, this is a watershed moment of awareness into the channel, as a whole, right? Because of how this thing went viral, and it's on YouTube, and it's bringing people in, and it's great for everybody. Like, this is an awesome, awesome thing. Even though it's just, even he admitted, like, it's gaming to no week, it's kind of a joke game. I'm like, what it's bringing in and all that is awesome for the channel. And we've shown in stats when we've gone back and looked, like there's a lot of games that released right before or after his did that saw a huge boost. They had huge staying power. And, to me, that's one of the signs of like, man, if that channel ever got the traffic it deserved, the cream would rise to the top. And it was in that time too. Like, we didn't have the vote fraud. We didn't have some other issues happening. So, we're going along, we're doing this 3D thing. My daughter has her birthday, and she wants a game called Rumus. And it's a 3D puzzle Tetris game, board game, actual physical pieces. You place these 3D pieces on a board, and I'm looking at that, and like what we have to do, and like two things kind of happen really around the same time. I'm kind of distilling all my thoughts on 3D game programming for X and A. And I'm looking at this other game of like, we should sip a title. We should do this. We did Inca Blocks in like 3 months, if that.
Yeah, I want to say it was
3 months because we gave ourselves a cutoff.
Yeah, because the cutoff was I had to write a book. I got a publishing deal with O'Reilly, or not O'Reilly, with Rocks, Wiley Press. Wiley Publishing, so Rocks, to do my ebook on 3D programming, and I basically pitched them. I'm like, hey, I just want to do a little 25, 35 page ebook. I kind of wanted to feel out the publishing process too. And I thought that's a great way. I'll do this little ebook. I don't care what happens to it revenue wise or what the market is, but like, I just want to take an experienced C# developer and teach them how to do C# XNA 3D programming. I just want to fill in those gaps. You already know C#. Here's how you deal with 3D programming. And called it 3D Primer. Had a pretty good time writing it, even though it was total crunch, because we had to ship Inca Blocks before I could publish the book, because Inca Blocks was testing all of my knowledge, right? And that had to be polished and done and shipped for me to feel like, yes, everything is correct in the book, because I have actually shipped a game that used these things. And then also, like, there's the mech, as well, controlling that guy. So we got all that up, and done, and we shipped Inca Blocks. And Inca Blocks, I mean, again, never expected it to sell gangbusters, right?
Right, because it's a puzzle game.
Expected some pocket change. And we got no revenue off of Inca Blocks. There's a $150 threshold at Microsoft before you ever get your first check. We never hit the $150 threshold. Now, part of that was, and I got this on all the reviews, there was a lot of fundamental flaws that we made in our game. That until I would have gotten it out there and gotten all these negative reviews back, I wouldn't have been able to realize that you have to step back as a developer and try to look at your game through new eyes as a gamer and look for these frustration points, okay? Never even occurred to me. I think you have to go through that first trial by fire before you're really going to understand. And you may not. I mean, I think there are definitely developers that we've come across and we know, and personalities that still don't get that.
But you have to have someone who is completely unfamiliar with it play it to see these things.
Well, I don't know if that's a definite requirement.
It's not, but it's...
But you have to put yourself in the shoes of a new player.
Yeah.
And you have to realize, like, we had way too many menus to get into actually playing the game. So we looked at, I looked at Incobox, and I said, like, all right, there's a lot of fuck up we have here on our own. But I also looked at our trials. And I was like, we got 1,000 trials. You know? And part of this is a trial if you haven't played the game. So the box art okay, the screenshots are okay, they're not great, they're not sucking you in and making you download it. But I was like, you know, it's just not a market for the platform. It's not enough traffic to where it's going to support a large diversity of games. Like the games that are all doing well, and this is really true today, are of a few different archetypes. Bullet hell, platformer. I don't think then we had JRPG, but we definitely have JRPG now.
Yeah, it took a while. There were a few standouts, but there wasn't, you know, the diversity.
But like throwback retro doing well. But basically Twitch gaming was dominating for the most part. Like those are the ones that are rising to the top. And it's like, we need to get more traffic in here. And that really was the genesis behind shutting down the Feel the Funk podcast and relaunching as GameMarx and saying, hey, we're no longer developers here. We're a review site. And we did that for a solid 2 years, maybe 2.5. We definitely went through 2 Christmases.
Yeah, I think we started at the end of the year.
Because the first Christmas, we marked that as the last time we will ever go back in history and review games.
Yes.
Because we did the 30 games for review.
I remember that
December.
You guys had Jasmine about that time, so I had to take your guys,
quote unquote, Dylan, crammed through 30 reviews.
Because I was still kind of out and slightly on medication.
Yeah, because if you go back, and if you go back and watch the early if you go back and watch like the early shows that we did, the early videos that we did, Jasmine's in them. You know, like newborn, sleeping on Cicely's arm. Like I've been nostalgic father and watched them purely to watch Jasmine. Like not like reminiscent of what we were doing, but so around this time is when the Charles Show launched, or some weird
Independent Charles
in the UK.
I don't think I ever watched it.
It was on the dashboard. It's some weird ass shit. But I was like, if they're putting this on there, maybe we can get something together. Now at this point, I know how to podcast, okay? I know the ins and outs of audio podcasts. I'm doing that for a while. I got the equipment for that. But I'm figuring out video as we go. So the first episode never aired. That's how bad it was. The only thing we salvaged out of the first episode was your bit, Dylan. Everything else out of the first episode,
I only vaguely remember.
Do you remember
that.
like holding the sign up and
yes,
like, is your hand in frame? No, it's out of frame. And your hand's totally in frame.
Because I think we were watching the monitor on the camera itself, which is, you know, like,
yep. That was before I got the monitor.
I hope it was.
Because after that one, he's like, I'm going to make this stupid thing that they see in the studios. It's going to be professional.
Well, okay. So here's the thing that I did not see coming. Dylan, you do fucking awesome on camera. Need no direction. Get it, go, first take and done. And Cicely locks up and can't utter 2 sentences.
I can fake human emotion and warmth if, you know, in a controlled environment.
Yeah, in a controlled environment. I've seen you publicly speak and expected that, you know, expected a lot of looking at your feet and all of that. And it was like, the gestures, the natural, the flow. I'm like, this was awesome, unexpected.
I've watched enough TV to like.
I still have the outtakes of like, let's do a sound check, Dylan. Why don't you just start reading and go as far as you get into your thing, and then you read your whole thing, your whole script, and then I'm going like, should we do it again? We should just do it again anyway, because it feels wrong to just like do a one take the very first time, right? I kept the first take. I mean, the first take is the one that went in.
It took all of us, because I remember we went from, well, we can do this just off the cuff. Well, no, we need to read it. And, I mean, there was, like, all of us had to get that down, especially when we started interacting. My bit was just me in front of a camera. It was what you would see on X-Play. It was not the, the morning show style.
Right. I had lunch with a friend today, and I told him what I've always wanted and what I don't have is the ESPN commentator desk.
Yeah.
Because I need a second mic for that. I need a second person. No, I'm not saying you're not quick-witted. I need a second person who
opinionated,
run to the nth degree, go to the wrong places. You know what I mean? Like, you could probably get there.
I'm like the moderator.
Yeah, you could get there, but
I don't know that I want to get there.
You don't want to get there. You go to your happy place, and it's like, no, I need you to embrace and extend. And go there, right? I want Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier on their podcast, right? Like, I want to start talking about the Death Star and end up with, like, trying to figure out how, like, the stormtroopers have sex and where are their wives and what's daycare like, because it's fucking huge, right? So it goes on somewhere.
Well, yeah, I can go off on tangents. I just can't, like, like...
Right, yeah. So I've never had that personality that I mesh with on that level on a show. So, I've kind of done other things with it. But the idea behind the show, and that's what we just ended up calling it, it was GameMarx the show, was GameMarx was to be this review indie coverage site where we were covering the Xbox Live indie games, while at the same time promoting get involved in development. Like, the stuff that we just showed you, you can do. So, like, on that first episode, we run down some twin-stick shooters, and then you break down the XNA library on accessing the thumbstick and calculating the tangent to get your direction.
I was going to say, it seemed like a better idea, but you can't do much with 5 minutes of programming tutorial.
On paper, but...
yeah. You can't do much with 5 minutes of programming.
We were also willing to experiment. I mean, we were also like, let's throw this up here and we'll figure it out as we go. Like, that was always like a thing I've always pushed. We'll figure it out as we go. We've got to get in there and start doing it to know what it's going to settle into. We did 3 episodes of that style. Okay, so we did one on the couch and did not work for Cicely at all. Like, it could not get out of the Cicely and I bit. Couldn't get that going. So, I talked to people at work, because I work at a television company. And, I talked to some people there, like, doing all that, different things, and basically learning, like, how to break the tension on the set, get the atmosphere, get it relaxed, get it rolling, I was trying to be very, very, like, okay, go, action. So that I could just make clean cuts and wouldn't have a lot of editing. And then I just decided, well, you know what? Let me just capture what I want to capture, and
we'll cut it together.
Don't worry about the editing. We'll just capture a lot of footage and throw a lot of it away. So, also the other thing was standing, right? So
I do remember trying that, yeah.
Getting Cicely to stand would be a much more comfortable, and then putting something in front, like a little desk, and standing behind that desk is kind of a confidence boost. It was a trick. That was, I don't know if I ever explicitly told you that was that was there.
Afterwards, but you told me.
And that's when I put like the green screen in, too, of like, we'll green screen it and put something in, and make a little studio out of it. And we did 3 episodes in that style. I think we did 3 that way. We did reviews. We did some video reviews, when we still had that kind of setup going. We morphed this later, so we were doing written reviews as well on the site. And we were all over the place. We were old games, new games, whatever. Christmas came, and then we just said, look, our new reviews get a ton more traffic than our old game reviews. So I had made a list because I made a video. There was a drive in the forums to make like a 15-second bumper to put on your trailer, at the end of your trailer. So you put up a trailer, and you put up a trailer in your game, and then put a bumper at the end of just like promote the indie game channel. And so I jumped in to do that just to have some more chops editing a project. I don't think anybody ever put it in their trailer type thing. And it got a lot of design by committee by the end.
Yeah.
And then also it was like, well, if you're going to feature the indie game channel, you're going to need to feature the actual games. And then that sort of became like, I don't want to feature these other games because mine doesn't look as good. Because I took the top 30 rated games, or the top 30 rated developers by their games, took one of their games. So we had this list that I had compiled of all these really good games, and of like votes and other means. And I took that list and I said, all right, we're going to use this list. We're going to review all these, knowing they're all probably going to be high mark reviews because of they were already well liked. And then we're going to, January 1, we're going to no longer go back and play old games. And then so all of 2011, we reviewed and covered every single game that came out that year when it was released. For the good first quarter of the year, we also did a weekly video with the camera, okay? And we did the podcast.
Yeah.
That was hell. That was hell on the week and the production schedule, right?
Yeah.
So we would sit down on the couch now. That's what the show became. Eventually we were playing the games live on the show. I think the first time I just dubbed in footage, but then we started like actually like, okay, this was Dylan's game. We picked like 5 games or something to play ahead of time, and then we played each one of us played one of those games, or we featured it, we picked the game, or somehow we had 3 games, or maybe there were games from the prior
I think we
week.
picked, like, we played all the games, and then we had our lists, and whichever ones we
we played games from the prior week that we wrote reviews on.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about our review, and then like a video segment, and those shows ended up being like 30 minutes a piece, and then we did a podcast every evening. We shut down the video show in favor of setting up a second podcast and doing a bunch of trials of indie games,
which was really just part of the first podcast split up. You know.
Well, it was just now we're not going to set up that. We're just going to sit on the couch and record a bunch. And so I would send out at first like what games we were going to cover, and then we just started like deciding the night of or something. But we had all played every game pretty much.
Yeah.
And so we started releasing these trials on first on Blip TV, later on YouTube. And that year, we got to the end of 2011, and it was clear that Xbox Live indie games was not getting, like, 2011 was a major dashboard fiasco. One of our highest viewed videos ever is me slaughtering the new dashboard. Is me taking Girl Talk and mixing that up against the dashboard of just how buried we were and how bad the interface was. And
I want to say it got worse the next, like, it wasn't until this latest update that it actually...
No, that was the latest update.
Okay, that was the latest.
The first update, we did a video, but I think Cicely recorded it and uploaded it. I think that's the one I called you, and you turned on the thing and recorded it at home, and I was at work, so we could get it up because it was breaking news or something, or you recorded it so I could upload it when I got home.
I pressed the button you told me to press, and then something happened.
And you went to the menus.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that was not that one. That was the first time they fucked it up.
Okay.
The second time they fucked it up is when I spent a lot of time editing and throwing it together as fast as I could of, like, making this video and putting in, like, those full text, you know, cutscenes and all that. It it got on Joystick, I think. Either Kotaku or Joystick, ran the video of basically like how they fucked us over. So it's still on YouTube. I never pulled it down. I mean, they did fix it, but at that point it was feeling like, okay, this has happened twice now. And at that point is when I'm like, the writing's on the wall. I don't want to invest in an Xbox Live indie game review site because the original purpose was to raise awareness of Xbox Live indie games. Also during that year, also in 2011 is when we took control of XboxIndies.com, when Nick Ravlin gave that to us, and we reactivated that as an aggregator of the sites. And I felt like our mission was accomplished through other means. We were now uniting all of these guys, all the other Xbox Live indie game news sites, and kind of promoting awareness. 2011 Indie Gamer Chick starts to come on the scene. She's getting a lot of traffic. So awareness is increasing.
It's kind of ironic that we set out to, raise awareness, and then we found out, a lot of people have been doing this.
Well, we knew there had been others, because I contacted them all when they did Xbox Live Indie Games.
But I mean, earlier in
And I still don't think
history.
anybody covers it to the level that we did, with the amount of video we were pumping out every week and like that. But it was taking a toll. Like, it was a serious grind, and...
I think I had to do it one week, and it was just like...
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I was doing that every week, and there was no time for anything else. We had the Sunburn ads, but, those were never for any money.
Yeah, those are for licenses, which...
Licenses the first time, and a donation to the tech code the second time.
Yeah.
So, it was just all bearing time consumption, and, look, the bottom line is this. If the indie game developers, the indie games are not making revenue, right? They're not making money. The bulk of them are not making money. There's a few exceptions, but taking those Minecraft clones out of the equation, nobody's making money, okay? Some people are making livings, right? But there's not a lot of money happening there in the bulk of it. And to expect to make money being the site that covers the games that don't make money is a flawed equation, right? Because advertisers aren't going to kick in money when there's not going to be, it's going to be, you're not going to have any more traffic on your site than it is to the Xbox Live indie game section.
Right.
And, there was always this unspoken hope I had, I don't know, that one day Microsoft will unlock Xbox Live indie games, they will put achievements in, they will bring it up.
At least just put it somewhere visible.
Yeah, they will make it visible.
Which they actually did.
And then...
Last update, too little too late.
Well, they still don't have achievements. They still don't have...
But visibility.
The placement visibility got fixed finally. But, and the searching has done wonders. And I've actually heard it's increased sales from a number of developers. But it's still not on par, and I'm not interested in doing the review thing and going back there. That's after we shut down GameMarx, the review site.
Yeah.
That they upped this level. This is the most recent dashboard update. That they did all that, and they increased the visibility there. Although even that launched with issues.
Trying to remember.
I don't know. There's been so many fucked up dashboard issue launches. Yeah, because that's game type. Yeah.
No, I want to say that's the update before it.
Parkour.
Like, the update before it was game type. They fixed it, but not
Well,
quite.
I'm counting updates only as the major new UI update. The rest are just incrementals.
Yeah.
I'm not counting those as updates. I'm saying, like, when we got Metroid with parkour.
It was like the fall update. I want to say it was fall. I can't remember when it was. It was either this year or last year. They even the fix they did after game type.
Yeah.
Was a mess. But it was better than game type.
But at that point we were already out anyway. No, we weren't. Because we covered game type because they were up for an award. So that's how we ended 2011. Is we basically had Game of the Year awards because we'd covered every single game. And we had serious awards, and we had awards we had fun, like most ironic hipster art game, which I think went to GHKYX. Skyfish Lost, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think, GH...
Whatever that series was, won. I think, did Stags win creepiest art? Did we give two at once? I want to say we either featured...
I don't know if we gave it to two at once specifically, but I think we gave it to Stags individually.
I know we gave something to Stags. We featured him in one of the awards. We had some fun with it. We had a review. I mean, it was really like the feeling of like, man, that would be fun to do that yearly. Like that was like the fun moment when you get to sit back and...
Also a lot of work, but...
A lot of work, but it was fun then.
Yeah.
So that brings GameMarx into its latest iteration, which was, okay, let's just be a game development podcast, because we want to get back to writing games. Okay? So we've been working on game development a lot. Not actually towards a shipping game.
Yeah.
A lot of library work has been going on and different things have been playing on.
A lot of figuring out what is after XNA, because...
There's a lot of uncertainty and and then after XNA and playing around with that and covering news that developers would be more interested in rather than gamers.
Yeah.
And that. So, we got a comment this week on YouTube that was like, the comment literally was something like, on our channel, not on a video, on the channel.
Oh.
How do you guys keep putting up videos when you get so few views? And I don't know if it was meant in like, man, how do you guys just like keep doing it for the love? Or if it was like, why the fuck are you here? You know, like, you can take that comment either way.
Yeah, but I read it the second way and I said, you're an asshole.
Was it like a backhanded thing? Or was it like, a genuine
thing?
Yeah, was it like a genuine, innocent comment that, like, oh man, you realize what that implied? You know, like, you realize, oh, I didn't mean it that way. But the thing is, it's never been about the views. It has never been about the traffic. It has never, even as I said all these things and I said, like, hey, I would hope that GameMarx would be bringing in revenue, Funkworks would be bringing in revenue at this point. That's never been the number one goal. If that was the number one goal, we've actually had solid money-making ideas, I feel, for apps that filled business needs or other places that we could have plugged in and supported and set up and done that we would have followed. And we're like, yeah, we can monetize this. This is something we can set up and monetize and launch. And I've come across several of those, and I always kind of bring them up every now and then, like, oh, this, oh, maybe that, you know. And I never wanted to pursue them because it's like, but I don't want to be that company. Like, if that takes off and be successful,
that's your job.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm still going to be moonlighting this GameMarx thing because that's not, I want GameMarx to take off. I don't want, and I'm not willing to, I just want to leave my day job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate my day job.
Yeah.
It has frustrations and it has its issues, but I don't hate my day job. I enjoy what I do. So, I'm fortunate in that aspect, and I'm not looking just to leave and strike my own, you know, path, and I'm not going to do that for Funkworks. So, we haven't been doing it for the views. We haven't done the podcast for the subscriptions. We're still pretty much the XNA show, right? You know, we're not really getting outside of XNA comfort zone. Well, going forward, I don't know what platform we collectively gravitate to. I think I lean on Unity, but I still have not used any of it.
I went through a tutorial a couple weeks ago.
Theoretically, abstractly, I'm all Unity. But, like, to the concrete, like, opening it up and do something, I'm like, I don't want to do Unity.
Well, like I said, I walked through a tutorial, and, like, making terrain and stuff like that is easy until you actually have to, like, how would I wire this up to fire a bullet? What is this? Code? And not just, like, hobby. There are a lot of good 2D, there do look to be some good 2D libraries, so...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's tons of people doing 2D in Unity, and there's tons of ways to do it, library or not.
Yeah.
And I've gone through some different, videos and stuff on, like, people who are just grabbing a plane on a 3D surface and making it their 2D
Well, there's one called Futile that is actually I think all code, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's people who are going on all code.
So,
there's people who are editing their game with Visual Studio.
My point is, I think there are options that way, but I'm kind of like, every time I've touched the 3D, it's like, it's so much to wire up. It's going to be a slow process.
Unfortunately, XNA is a beautiful damn gaming programming framework, and it's shit that it's dying a political death, you know? Now maybe Monogame gets there.
Yeah.
They seem like they're... This is fucking Android, though. Like, this is the same thing with Android. It always seems like the next release is the one. But it's always the next release is the one, you know? But it seems like the next release is the one. Sunburn seems like the next release is the one. I mean, they're public now, I think, now with their bits. Like, you can grab the new Sunburn platform thing, that's what they're calling it. Unfortunately, like, they're targeting the Microsoft ecosystem platforms first, and I'm like, I wish you guys would come out and target Mac and iOS and Android mobile platforms. There's so many ways I could hit PC. Yeah. I don't need you to help me hit PC. I don't need you to help me hit Xbox. I don't want to hit or give a damn about hitting Windows Phone. And, like, the success of your framework is going to happen when you support iPad, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be your real killer, because you work right in Visual Studio, you have this great content pipeline thing happening, you have this editor, and you're not this open source mono game that's, you know, kind of, you got to put it together, and you might have to hack the framework a little bit, and, you know, you really should install Cygwin to help for this little bit. And
actually, mono...
It's much beyond that now.
It's much beyond that, but they still... It's not tied directly to Visual Studio. You can do it on any platform. You can use mono... I think you can use mono develop.
You can,
so,
yeah.
Like, content pipeline is the issue at this point.
But that supposedly is solved very shortly. I don't know how they're solving it, but they are... And Microsoft, you know, they've published the specs on that format.
Yeah.
So, the one thing with the mono framework is that they can't use any code of the XNA framework. I wish they would just, like, Microsoft would just open source the XNA framework. Say, here, fuck it, you know, there it is. It's open source, so any site that wants to... Any project that wants to grab it and incorporate it, there's the license.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like the XNA or WinPhone binaries, just PC.
So, we don't know what we're doing, development-wise. That makes it hard on this podcast. I think we've done an okay job coming up with some topical podcasts. I feel we have some gems back there where we had a narrow topic fine. But that's taken a lot of effort, too.
Yeah.
Like, to keep that up, to keep up the interviews take a lot of work. I tried to bring in my brother, God bless his heart, but I tried to bring in my brother, but it's like, it took more effort to manage him managing the guests than it did just for me to do it my damn self. So it just ended up me doing it my damn self, and then it's just like, I don't line those up.
We had a lot of good, we had a list of, I think, a lot of good topics, but a lot of them were like, I don't want to touch this now. Like, this is a special thing that I have to prepare for.
Right. And again, time and all that.
Yeah.
So recently, from the Daddy Made Us Play idea, right? Get my daughters, get a classic Nintendo set up, let them play classic Nintendo games, and I just had a run where they're playing a bunch of Atari 2600 games. Having a lot of fun with that. Having a lot of fun playing Link to the Past with you, Dylan, on there, and this Let's Play thing. And I've also fallen into watching a lot of Let's Play videos.
I'm watching a SimCity Let's Play.
The new one?
Yes.
And it's like, I mean, that's basically like my sitcoms. Like, that's my shows. My shows are going down YouTube and, like, have Two Best Friends or Game Grumps posted a new episode. You know, is there a new Two Best Friends Chrono Trigger out? Oh, sweet, you know? Like, alright, well, shit, I gotta wait till Cicely gets home to watch the Chrono Trigger playthrough, so... oh, look, they got a new Castlevania playthrough, I'll go watch that. I'm enjoying that. And, again, because it's hobby and not money, I don't know what the dollar signs are, potential, even if there are, off of Let's Plays, but I know I want to do a whole lot more. I want to do me playing old PC games, that I had in my youth. I want to do me playing brand new games that are interesting, and I'm just gonna let's play a new game and comment over it. And I no longer want to be beholden to this semi rule that we have of like we're developer focused.
Yeah.
And like we're developer commentary. But no, I just want to have let's plays, and if I get into developer commentary on the game, then I get into developer commentary on the game. And if I go off and make gay elf porn jokes, then I go off and make gay elf porn jokes.
Yeah, especially as like XNA is going away, like we're less and less able to be a definitive voice, as developers.
Well, and at some point too, it's like I always feel like
just because of our background,
how much we've shipped kind of matters at some point.
Exactly.
Like, I love extra credits, and they prove that you can go very, very far down that path, right? Because they're not shipping a lot of games, but they damn well know their shit, right?
Yeah.
So you can go far, right? But I've always, like when I was MVP, it always came from my talks and my topics, my blog posts have always come from, this was the problem, this is how I solved it, this is how I tried, this is how I got there, and it's from experience that I'm blogging and sharing or speaking on this topic. And when I don't have the experience, I don't want to cover the topic. There are a lot of speakers out there who dive into a new topic, read up a bunch about it, and then go give a talk on it. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to stand up in front of you and told you, yeah, I've deployed an app with this. So I'm not shitting you. This works. I've deployed, I support code, I've seen bugs in the middle of the night. Also, I feel like I need to be able to answer the questions,
Yeah.
All the crazy questions that come in, I need to be able to answer and know my topic. And so obviously, XNA, getting away from that. Of course, there's no new XNA MVPs, so speaking on XNA doesn't even, that's, even if that could happen, which was always a small group anyway, and, so I always kind of wondered, like, I don't know if they're going to let me in, man. Because, like, some of those guys, a bunch of those guys, were either in early or game developers. Like, real-ass fucking game developers. Not, like, yeah, I'm getting an Atari Combat clone in XNA over a weekend, right? So, okay, man, there's all that. So what are we doing? What are we going to do going forward? I've been rebuilding the GameMarx website in WordPress.
And it looks kind of pretty.
Yeah, I'm kind of, fixing the design, getting it cleaner. But essentially to focus on our new content going forward, which is going to be video. Video, let's plays. That's going to be the bulk of what we're doing. The effort to record and produce versus delivery is a big ratio in our favor, okay? It's easier content. Not necessarily easy content, but you can get a system down, and I can crank out 8 to 10 episodes in a few hours.
Yeah. It's more consistent.
What's that?
It's more consistent.
And yeah, have a consistent and a target on that. Easy to come up with ideas, things like that. So, and there's variants of these Let's Plays. I've even told Hannah. Hannah recorded with Fraps. She plays a web game called Animal Jam. And she's been kind of interested because she watches Let's Plays of The Sims and things like that. Of like, we've tried a couple times to get her set up so she record The Sims and do that. And I've told her, if she sticks at it, I will put Hannah Plays videos on GameMarx. Okay? Because I know we get like 27, 30 views, and we're like, 27, 30 views. And she was amazed. Like, you got 30 views on that video. Why do you get 30 views? I got 3 on my video.
The internet has made us such jaded, horrible people.
Well, she would be excited by 30 views.
I know, exactly. Like, we're like, that is margin of error on the internet.
If you, I told her, I'm like, you can't mix in any music you want. you will have to mix in the music I give you, just so that we make sure we're okay there. And, you know, but we will put up Hannah Plays videos. And she's recording them. She'll edit and produce them in, Windows Movie Maker. Cause that's how she's edited some of her videos before. Make her title screens and all that. And, you know, they may not be the greatest videos in the world. I don't care. You know, I'm just gonna, you know, embrace her and support her to do that. And like, yeah, we'll put them up there. Cause we're gonna be putting out so much video on our channel, it's not gonna be a big deal. So we're gonna put out a lot of video. The website, I have been wanting on our site to write opinion pieces on a lot of issues that come up. And I always feel like our site doesn't handle it well. The way the news is, it's not featured well. It's kind of buried. I don't like the design and the organization of how we've got it laid out and everything. So I'm like, when we get that to WordPress, that'll be easier and I'll feel a little less burdened. So I want to kind of write more articles, but don't expect more than 2 a month, if that many, from me. Now, whether you guys contribute some things and things like that, that's fine.
I have a hard time, like, taking actual experience and putting it into an article, because it's like, usually, either one, if I look back on it, it didn't seem to be as much of anything. Like, I Googled it, you can too, you know. But
well, the thing with waiting on it is if you do wait on it, the moment passes.
Exactly.
And
like,
it's not so much of like, I'm raged and then I need to cool down. It's like, no, I want to be in the moment when everybody's discussing this topic.
Right.
Of like, okay, this is, you know, like SimCity just happened, okay?
Yes.
I wanted to write an article up on SimCity and say, hey, you know, and actually,
I'm a more developer-focused
Brian
things.
Prince beat me to this anyway, but basically say like, no, they fucked this up because they didn't use the cloud. Like, EA, Maxis, makes video games, not cloud-based social, you know, infrastructure and shit. They should have gone to Azure, gone to Amazon, grabbed an instance, grabbed an EC2 instance, grabbed a virtual server, developed their server code against a virtual server, put their back-end storage into blob storage so that it scales, you know, no matter how big the damn thing gets because it's sharded. You know, look up NoSQL if you don't know what I'm talking about. So they have the infrastructure for scaling. I mean, these are known things. These are known quantities, how to do this. And then you get like 1 virtual server going, 2 virtual, 3 virtual servers going, you know, so they're all independent and they all can handle the requests, or you sticky or you decide whatever. You figure out internally, like, you know, you have your small beta test, you spin up 5 servers, 2 servers, 3 servers, and you figure out how many can those fuckers handle. And then you optimize. You find out where your bottlenecks are on those 5 servers. And you spin up a test and you max out those 5 servers again. Maybe the first time you max out on 50 cities. The second time you max out on 100 cities. Third time you get to 500 cities. And then, you know, now you really feel like you're honed your code, you've got it down. And now you know how many servers you need based on how many users. And how many users you have is how many copies you've sold. So you have like okay, we're within the budget, we're within the scalability, like we will sell the copies to cover the servers. You know launch day it's going to be busy as fuck. You spin up 2,000 servers, 5,000 servers. Suck it in, have a beautiful launch, watch the server utilization. As things peter out, as everybody's not taking the day off work to play SimCity all the time, you figure out, you watch your peak loads and your balances and how it goes. You start shutting these servers down. Because it's the fucking cloud, and that's the way it fucking works. And then, you know, the weekend comes, and you spin back up an extra 500 servers to handle the weekend load. Or you just spin up the servers in the evening, and spin them down during the day. And it's the fucking cloud. You don't pay for servers unless you're using them, right? You build it this way, you're golden. It is not acceptable to believe all online games will launch to shit because nobody can figure out the scalability equation. Bullshit. It's figured out. But these guys believe in their hubris that they will somehow make more money controlling their data center, and they will somehow give up revenue this way, which they're going to blow far more revenue in servers that are going to age, servers that once they're no longer used because they spun up to handle peak load, and now the game is falling off, they're going to have to start shutting down. I mean, think about this. You could take a game and run it forever. Because as long as there was players, they would justify the servers.
Right.
Even if that meant there's only 2 SimCity servers now, because there's 100 people in the world that play SimCity. But you know what? It costs us $30 to keep those servers open. So those 2 servers stay up. And if they go away, they go away. You know? But we're not looking at data centers and supporting maintenance and upgrading operating systems and patching and
There's
all that crap.
There's not a sudden fixed cost as soon as you flip the switch.
That we go like, well, we could patch the security vulnerability on the SimCity servers, or we'll just shut it down because fuck the people who still play this game. They didn't do that. Anyway, so I just wanted to write that article. I just wanted to write that post in the crux of the SimCity fiasco of like, no, don't take this, don't accept their excuses, okay, with this. Which, by the way, there was a rock, paper, shotgun article, that somebody hacked SimCity to run offline.
And they totally could.
And they totally can, so the whole, like, it simulates the city in the cloud is bullshit. It's simulating it locally.
Are you surprised at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. It is totally an online DRM, and it is totally probably to sell you shit later. That is the scheme. That is why there is an online restriction. And that's probably why the cities are so damn small, because to get a decent specs out of your machine, because SimCity will bog down your machine. You can even have some decent specs, and if you crank up the simulation to full speed and start like zooming in or zoom out all the way or something, I can't remember what it is. I think it's zoom out.
When you zoom in, you can follow an individual sim as they go through their day.
But if you zoom all the way out, like that's happening all across your map,
and then it's calculating.
And then if you speed up the calculations, I think you can bog down your system.
Very much so.
Even if you have a decent system. And that's why, because it's all happening to local. Anyway, that's why I wanted to write it. Okay, so what happens to the podcast? What happens to this thing that we're doing right here? So, on Friday nights, I still want to be live. On Twitch TV. And if those motherfuckers didn't steal my idea this time. So a lot of times we've ripped off Giant Bomb. And I've been honest about it. I've been blatantly like, a lot of the GameMarx site design was ripping off Giant Bomb. A lot of how we were doing our video was ripping off Giant Bomb. Trials are quick looks from Giant Bomb. Okay? Looked at what they were doing, went, shit, this is how we do this. Not reviews, quick looks. Okay? And, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. It was a dive in and figure it out. We will, and we tried last week to stream live. And
there were problems.
The ability to record is not the ability to stream. If you have a great setup like we do for recording, that doesn't mean dick all for streaming. And it's not upload bandwidth. It was CPU and software issues on our side. I paid for bandwidth upgrade. We got a fat 7 meg upload pipe now. We should be able to push a pretty crisp 720p stream out. I've already talked with Cicely. I think I already mentioned to you.
This requires buying.
This requires purchasing of equipment. This is going to be an investment.
Funkworks is just an excuse to buy stuff.
You were like...
Let's not even lie.
Okay, Mike, you just explained to me how all this is hobby. We don't expect money off of it. Now you're talking about spending $1,000. Like,
Yeah.
You realize this. And I was like, Dylan, year 1, Funkworks, $1,000 podcasting equipment.
It's just gonna happen.
Year 2, $1,000 video camera equipment. Year 3, $1,000 digital juice equipment. Year 4, I think $400, $500 of
Microphones
digital juice
and stuff.
equipment. Well, there's always been like some Microsoft charges and things like that, hosting fees on top of that, and licenses and stuff like that for different things. Yes, so it dialed down, but yeah, we're right on par for Funkwork expenses. And then I don't quite know how to expense those out properly for our LLC structure and all that. So I start trying to, and then I get to the taxes and I just say, fuck it. I don't expense any of it. Don't deduct any of it. And then, you know what? I like the idea of like I own all the equipment still personally. So I'm fine with that. I have looked into and I have looked into it, and I am not kidding. We are getting pro level equipment. I am like seeing if I can buy some X-Jury television equipment. It will be the real shit. It will be the real deal. Because if anything, we will have quality of technology, if not quality of content.
One day he's going to make me learn how to use a Steadicam. I can see this happening.
Wait, for what? A Steadicam is like...
Have you seen a Steadicam? It's the full
No.
fucking camera body harness. It's like the camera mounts to your body, and then it's on like an arm, spring-loaded, so you can walk all around, and yet the camera will never bob. There is a cheap way of doing that, though, by the way. You take your camera, and you get a pole, alright? And on the top of the pole, you mount the camera. And on the bottom of the pole, you put about 5 to 10 pounds of weight. Okay? It's a heavy motherfucker. Okay? Because you're holding it out there. But you will steady it. And here's how I can prove that to you. Walk with a cup in your hand of coffee and watch the water. And realize it's not vibrating.
Because
Your body, when you have that weight on your hand, you're holding something, kicks in like the hydraulics and the shocks and the support system to like not spill the hot coffee all over yourself, okay? And that's what happens when you put that weight on there. There are some awesome fucking YouTube videos of guys building this and then running and jumping on skateboards and shit. And you're like, did you watch what they do and then you watch the camera footage? You're like, that is fucking awesome. It's not like the Steadicam on like Good Eats that Alton Brown uses going in all the weird places. But man, it's damn good. No, we'll probably have a fixed mount camera. Now
I can't think of anything we would ever record that we would
have
need a
camera
Steadicam
1 and
for.
camera 2. I don't know. But we're going with my Canon. We're not going with webcam shit. We're going with the Canon. We're going with lights. We're going studio. So the live show. So I knew I want to play video games during the live show, and I want to have commentary and discussing. I want to be on the couch again, discussing and talking, and maybe we talk about SimCity or something like that. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to fire this thing up because I've been playing it and it's awesome. And it's like, oh, cool. Kind of like we did when we did the Xbox Live Indie Games and we covered the games on the couch. It's like, I want to do that live. I want to do that, what we were doing on the couch, live. I don't know exactly how this works out. And motherfucker of Giant Bomb didn't launch the new release Wednesday stream, where these guys are sitting around the couch and talking about, and then play the games that came out this week, and then cutting up and talking about the news and what's going on and all that, and, you know, cutting in and out. So, I'm like, well, there's the template, man. So that's the live stream. The audio podcast. This, what you're listening to now if you subscribe. I don't think I'm shutting it down. I think what I'm going to do is, it might get sporadic for a bit while I build streaming technology and fish this out. And if you've been watching our Let's Plays, around episode 30 of Link to the Past, quality is going to jump way up because we've already got some of this ability in. So as I'm figuring that out, as I'm figuring out, you know, scan converters and getting live equipment in and video mixing technology beyond piece of shit Wirecast, which is a big reason for the failure. And XSplit is a little bit of snake oil. What XSplit is doing versus what it claims Like, there's a whole crew of gamers that just need to see 1080p, and they just need to see a frame rate counter, and they don't actually know what it is they're seeing. And, like, they need to believe that their game footage is being captured at 1080p, 120 frames per second. It's like, you're not fucking streaming that. You understand, like, to stream 1080p at 120 frames a second, your bitrate is so low, it's shit. Okay? And then even if you do manage to get the upload out of that, most of your viewers, it's gonna suck for, right? So, it's being downsampled anyway. But AverMedia and XSplit are catering to those spec-hungry streamers. As I kind of peel back that stuff, I'm like, that's not what I want to get into. And that kind of pushed me into the pro equation, which is like Blackmagic design, and pro-level equipment that only works on certain motherboards and requires certain CPU and other subsystems to be involved. And, like, you can spend $200 on a capture card that doesn't do shit but give you a frame buffer. No H.264 encoding, no codec, no compression, no RAM on here or buffer. It just gives you access to HDMI video. You better have some software and a shit hot CPU at this point. But, like, this is what this other software works into. So I've been looking into the pro-level software stuff, and what that does. And I think I have this worked out. I think I kind of have a pencil sketch, when the income tax refund hits for us, that I can go and start building this PC and putting this together. And we'll have some pretty cool capabilities. We actually, like, some of the stuff that I found, I'm like, wow, I'll be able to switch camera views and stuff from the couch and, you know, do some cool things. So, there'll be some experimentation still, but, that's the way we're gonna go with that. The audio podcast, I think it's gonna become me only. It's been about 30 minutes. And I'm gonna run down the news that caught my eye, which has been a big bulk of what our podcast has been.
Yeah.
I run down the news that caught my eye, and you guys comment on it sometimes, and a lot of times I fill up most of the podcast.
It won't be 30 minutes.
I fucking know that I fill up most of the podcast because when I edit it, you guys are always quieter on your mics. Like, you never are on your mic like you should be, and I'm always more on my mic. And so my waveform is always greater, and I always have to amp you up. But I can visually see the amount of time I talked in a show versus anybody else. And for the longest time, I had a hang-up of, like, I can't just get on as me and do a podcast. I can't just sit down with me and do a show. I have to make Cicely sit in the second chair, you know? I have to have a conversation with somebody. It wouldn't be interesting. And I'm thinking, no, it'll be fine.
You'd force yourself to.
There's tons of people who just do a show of just them. And I'll experiment around with a bit of how I work it and how I do it. We may miss a few episodes here and there as I lower prioritize this and I higher prioritize getting the new site launch done and up and out. Really, that's at the point of syncing the old data now. It's kind of got a few of the other issues worked out. Once I get the live stream working, it'll kind of go up and I'll kind of evolve it over time, from there, you know, and get the crucial bits up and get the rest in later. And of course I'm trying to make sure I import all of our previous content. I do also need to pull all of our shit out of FeedBurner. Yeah. Because with Google killing Google Reader and how they've killed RSS and all their other products, FeedBurner is dead. It's The Walking Dead right now. And I need to get out of that before I'm caught flat-footed with a deadline of trying to migrate feeds out of that. And that's not easy. It is not easy to migrate a feed, because a lot of feed readers may or may not update. iTunes, we had a whole shitload of problems when we switched from Feel the Funk to GameMarx and tried to keep the subscribers. So I definitely want to keep subscribers. I don't want to lose people who are subscribed to any of the feeds. Even though you may not have a reader to watch the bid, I want to, keep as much as that.
Well, I mean, you can still subscribe to podcasts through iTunes and other programs.
Stegs has a comment that, children, you can't go to college. Daddy has a fascination for his Legend of Zelda live playthroughs.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
You know what, though?
What?
Not my Zelda live playthroughs, but their daddy made us plays. One of those is gonna hit. I really do feel optimistic that one of those will go viral, so maybe they'll pay their own way to college.
I was gonna say, like I said, every time you do those, every time you edit one, you should just, doesn't have to be anything fancy, just text on a black t-shirt. You need to have some stuff queued up in Cafe Press so you can hit the button when it happens.
Hedgehogs?
Hedgehogs.
What was the hedgehogs in Metroid?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just identify a couple of them, just so you're ahead of the game.
Survivor Queen. That's
when people start...
I am the Survivor Queen.
People start posting the same thing over and over in comments.
Hey, raising your children as little sarcastic bastards is not a bad thing. There are options that
it's
open up
not
to
a bad
you.
thing now.
I'm just rolling with it, man. Just going with it.
Short
Leaning
term
in.
versus long term.
As long as they know.
So that's kind of where we're going. That's kind of what's happening.
And I assume once, when we figure out what we're doing with game development, and also, when some amount of boredom hits with Let's Play videos, like, things can shift again, but,
Well, and we gotta get a new rhythm going down for the Let's Plays. Cause,
exactly.
We're not recording that many right now, but that's because I have other priorities to get done before I really crank up production.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do most of the editing on those. Pretty much all those. I'm setting up to do the capture, the editing, but hopefully you guys can work out a time this weekend to get together and record our first season of Walking Dead playthrough. And you are getting a face cam on that one. It won't be up 100% of the time, but it'll be there when I need to go to it.
Fuck you. In advance, several times. Fuck you.
I just can't, in good conscience, not set up a face cam.
He made me play. He's making you play with me because I refuse to play it myself.
I told him that.
I know. I've heard the whole thing. Here's the thing. Because it's zombies, I instantly do not care. This is a manufactured situation. It's manufactured drama. Whatever.
And that is awesome.
Do not
go
care.
into this game attempting to distance yourself from it. And you know what? Maybe you make it to the end and you still have that. Maybe you don't.
Maybe, but
it's only going to be 5 episodes. I mean, it's only going to be... You guys only have to get together for 5 sessions. It's not that long of a game. And the episodes can be recorded in one sitting. You will need 3 hours, I think, for the first one allotted minimum. Kind of give yourself a little bit of buffer on each side. I do know the third one, you should give yourself 5 hours. It's kind of a long episode. The third one definitely has a feeling of they were behind in the story beats. And it's like, if we're going to pull off 4 and 5, then the group has to end at this story beat by the end of 3. So we're kind of shoving in more than we expected. But we didn't have these things wrapped up earlier, So it's a little longer, but the ending ones, they get a little shorter, actually. But, I mean, their impact. Oh, God, their impact. So, yeah. So, that's a good one. I think the other ones I know I would like to start queuing up or doing, I would like, you to pop over and let's start doing Mass Effect. You play Mass Effect 1. I don't think we need to play all of them. Or you can play all of them, but I don't think we need to, start, everything we play, we record.
Right.
But the original Mass Effect is a game that I love so hard. I just have big, Mass Effect Woody for Mass Effect 1. I think it's the best one of the series.
And I've played some of it, but my problem is I get bogged down in all the side quest stuff, and I think that would be a good place.
Oh, yeah, and that's the points where I could, just help shortcut you through that to keep the interest on that.
Yeah.
But it's like, now I want your reaction on the big more beats that, like, I was just so into here, and I just want to relive it again, Again, a lot of this is selfish.
Oh yeah, like the thing I love about the Link to the Past is, like I said, I played through it last year, but this is another chance for me to get to go back and relive it, and I played so much of that as a kid that
and there'll be a
awesome.
couple Let's Plays that I do solo. I'm gonna obviously my old PC games, because I just have a lot to say about them. But I think there's gonna be some that I pop in. I'm starting to amass a Super Nintendo collection. Unfortunately, I'm not amassing a great game Super Nintendo collection. But, I'm gonna pop in and check out Donkey Kong Country. Don't know if I'm gonna finish it on Let's Plays. I might finish it afterwards. But I might just slap in Castlevania. And, like, I'm running through Castlevania, The fucking game locked up on me.
Really?
I was watching
Fucking game locked up on me.
It was hilarious. and painful.
On the way to the motherfucking Grim Reaper, like boss 6.
Does that have a password save on it?
No.
Mm-mm. It's just continue. You have to do it in one playthrough. It just continues.
Oh, that's rough.
It's brutally fucking hard. And I was on the way to the Grim Reaper, which is the next to the last boss before Dracula. And, like, I was getting through the run, and it, like, locked up on that hallway.
Because he was
the
doing
hallway
it
of hell.
pretty good, because he was, like, not getting hit by much.
No, I was making a good run through that hallway.
And
you need to make a good run through that hallway of hell to have a health at the Grim Reaper. And
he got hit once near the beginning of the hall, and then around the middle of the hall, it locked up in the middle of a jump.
Yes. Midair. Oh, so fucking pissed. Because I don't think I ever beat that game. And I watched the Game Grumps play it, and they beat the game. And to his credit, John, like Aaron is Egoraptor, is sequelitis. Okay?
Yeah.
So he does sequelitis and has played Castlevania, tons and tons of times. And John figured out, like, within the context of the game, some ways you can kind of, like, bullshit beat a boss. Lock them up and just beat the crap out of some of the really fucking hard bosses.
The
right?
ones, like, they're like, you have to do this, and then do that, and then get lucky. And they're like, no, I just do this, and it happens.
Like, boom, holy water, catch him right here, lock him up, done. And it was funny, because, like, Egoraptor Aaron is just like, I guess you beat it? I don't feel like you beat it, though, And he's like, that was within the rule. It's like, yeah, I know, it's not like you didn't beat it, but...
I mean, that's what they put that
he didn't want to give him
for.
that win. Like, he wanted an asterisk on that record, Yeah. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back and beat this game. I'm gonna use these tricks, but I'm gonna go back and beat this game. Like, and them playing it realized I got to Dracula's second form. Because Dracula's a boss that you beat the first time, and he changes form. And when they saw his second form, I'm like, yes, I have seen that. I remember that. I never got to the ending. It's not like there's a great ending.
Yeah, it's just the accomplishment of beating it.
It is the accomplishment and going back. So, yeah, I mean, just like sit down, push record, do it in one sitting, and then, that gets uploaded. But, so right now, if you kind of want to follow us with the stuff we're doing now, you want to go subscribe to us on YouTube. And catch us at youtube.com/GameMarx. Very soon, the new site will be up, so you can get it by RSS feed and GameMarx.com. And then the YouTube is already integrated to our Twitter account. The news posts and all that will get integrated to the Twitter account, so that will happen as well there. So Twitter will kind of be like the announcement place for all content that gets added to the site. So if you want to follow it there, or follow us on Twitter, you can follow all the content that way. But yeah, and then we'll probably get together on Friday evenings and do some gaming.
Yeah, record and stream and stuff.
Yeah, just stream. I don't even know if I'll record.
Okay,
I may push to YouTube, but I will do it by Justin TV's feature of push to YouTube. Like setting up and I mean, having to get up Saturday morning and edit
is a mess.
And upload.
Yeah.
I'm like, I might just go like, you know what? I will just get some live, again, pro equipment.
Yeah.
I will get
especially
lavalier microphones, and I will get real-time compressors, and I will auto-duck game volume based upon speaking volume, and I will get that, set up, and that'll be the stream that goes up. So, you going to say?
Well, I imagine what we stream on Friday nights will be kind of, it won't be as focused as a lot of the Let's Play style videos. So, yeah, editing that could be for, what? It will be less focused than the podcast, which is sometimes not that focused.
So, other news, we are going to go to the ECGC conference. All of us. It's April 24th to the 25th, Raleigh, North Carolina. I think it's $80. It might have just gone up.
Yeah, March 15th is the cutoff.
$80 was the early bird. I don't know if it's $100 or what it is now. So we're gonna be at ECGC. Keynote is going to be Cliff Bleszinski and somebody else. There's 2 keynotes. Which is going to be interesting because this will be, me seeing Cliffy B and seeing if he's really the bro gamer that I make him out to be. And that is awesome. Like watching webpage fail. Is the stream going out? It looks like it is. It doesn't say it's queuing.
What's the error on the page?
Not enough
Just
internet?
not available.
Oh, is it name not resolved or?
So I'm going back. I'm hitting speakers. I'm hitting register.
Huh.
Because the DNS lookup failed. Well, that's the reality of live television, folks. Next we're going to try to log into the SimCity servers and see how that goes.
Probably just as frustrating.
So, thank you, Jim in chat. Jason Vanderbergine. I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know who this Jason fella is. By the way, he works at Ubisoft, but I mean, he's not a name that I know. But of course I do know Cliffy B. It'd be good to see, like, is Cliffy B, really a bro?
Or does he
that
just
I make
play
him
one
out
on
to
the
be?
internet?
Or is he just like an online persona, guy? Or, like, the shit that he's been talking lately, like, how deep does he believe this? Is he like, let me explain the other side to you? Or is he like, no, you need to understand. This is the way it works. This is just accept this is how games are made, It'll be interesting. So to see him in person, and up there kind of like, give me some things. Not that I'm not going to mock him and rip him. And not that my mocking and ripping of people won't get 10 times worse when I'm doing it just by myself. When there's no, like, feedback, bounce back. I'm just going to turn on, hit the mic, and start talking. And, whatever's popping into my head, it's not going to get 1,000 times worse. And I will justify it in thinking, like, that is increasing viewership. Wow. We're totally fucked. I don't know how we're streaming.
Because it's already done DNS resolution for that. If that was the error you were getting.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. So, we're going to be out that way, Raleigh, and I'm able to take the podcast mobile again. I got that Dell up running again. This is not allowed to touch it anymore. Well, basically because it does have a limited life.
Yeah.
Its screen's already jacked and fucked all hell. It has a limited life, and it needs to serve a purpose for recording things right now. So it needs to be shut down unless it needs to be on for recording for a little bit. And then we'll have a system built out there that can live stream or handle the recording, or possibly both simultaneously. I don't know that I'm going to do that a lot, but maybe I will. It just depends on how it goes. So we will take the recording equipment, and if we meet some people or some people are out that way, drop us an email, podcast@GameMarx.com if you're a fan, if you're listening. No criteria. You don't have to have shipped the game, make the game. You listen to this. You heard this. We'll do a podcast out there, probably Thursday night. The conference is Wednesday, Thursday. We're checked in. We're staying there overnight. We're checking out Friday morning. So Thursday night, we may do a podcast in our hotel. We're staying at the Sheraton right across from the conference center. So
you guys are.
Yes, some of us are. Some of us are in the Best Western.
Red Roof Inn. In CSU.
All of us are paying the same price. Priceline negotiator, bitch. Seriously, go into Priceline, put in 3.5 stars, downtown Raleigh, $65 a night. I won. The negotiator negotiated me some shit, and that's what I am staying in that Sheraton for. Dude, I was so fucking pumped. I was pumped like fucking beating the retro video game, man. I was like, when that came back at $65 a night, and I got everything I wanted, walking distance to the con.
That was less than the convention rate.
The convention rate's like $179 a night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wake up, walk over to the convention center, 3.5 star hotel, stay an extra day so I don't have to like drive back the end of the con, get to sleep in the next day and just take an easy time back. I got everything I wanted at a price, yeah, I was just like, fuck yeah. Take that shit, Sheraton. So, yeah, Priceline, negotiator, 3.5 stars, downtown Raleigh, $65 a night. Pop in that credit card. You too might be able to live an awesome life like Mike does. There's an indie hostel for GDC. Oh, for GDC. That's scary, Stags, man. I hope you come back. One year I want to get out to GDC. That is the opposite coast from us, and we are also not real game developers. We just play one on the internet. But the year that we feel like we are real game developers, I do want to go to a GDC one year. I do want to go there and hang out on that. I may actually pay for the GDC videos, though, this year. 'Cause they sell those afterwards, and just watch a bunch of those as we dive more into
Unity,
figuring out Unity or whatever we do.
Game or whatever.
It will be interesting out in Raleigh because Unreal Epic is basically sold to a Chinese company now, and they're shutting down all the game production. I mean, that's why Cliffy's left. That's why they're all leaving Unreal.
Wow.
It's been sold. They're basically going to make the engine. The company's going to make the engine. I think they're going to take the engine into non-gaming places too, or something is kind of the plan. I don't know. I don't know. So, this also there may not be an ECGC website is down site. Come next year, for that. So, well, alright, that webpage is not coming back up, so I'm not going to talk anymore about that site or click through or find out what the current registration price is.
It is through Eventbrite, so you could probably check there.
You probably could check Eventbrite. Thank you, everyone who's listened to us all these years. And we're still going to be doing this. We're not going away. and we're not doing it because we didn't get enough hits or enough views. We're just going to do something different. Something that we want to do. And it's what we've done 2 or 3 times now, in our history. And we'll probably at some point do it again. But, thank you for watching this on YouTube. Thank you for downloading the audio podcast, tuning in the live stream. Don't know if we're going to be back in a week. Let's say we'll be back in a month.
Yeah.
That's safe.
You've been listening to GameMarx. Visit us at GameMarx.com for the latest news, reviews, and videos on indie gaming. That's GameMarx.com.
Touch record on you. Get from Wirecast. Otherwise known as App of Fail.
I have listened to so many podcasts where they talk about Wirecast failing.
Like on other shows?
Yes.
Okay. That makes me feel better that it's not just us.
I mean, like, of the 7 gaming podcasts I listen to, 6 of them have talked about it.
Wow.
Master level compression. Master level compression. It's not.
Sorry.
That is awesome.
Now that TweetDeck's...
Right, tweets out.
I was going to say, now that TweetDeck's going away, I need to find a new app for Android.
Wait, TweetDeck's going away?
I believe so. At least the Android apps.
I mean, Twitter bought them. They're an official...
I think they're leaving the... I want to say they're deactivating the, like, Android and iPhone versions. I may be wrong.
Fucking serious? Like,
do a Google search.
Do a Google Reader? Like...
No, this happened weeks ago, and they haven't given a date. I may be reading something wrong.
God. No, all things D. Why Twitter killed TweetDeck for Air, iPhone, and Android.
Yeah, I think they may actually be killing the official app too. I'm not certain about that, but it... Yeah, between that and Google Reader, it's just like the internet has decided, to shut down.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, I need my columns. There's no other fucking reader that, a Twitter client that has columns like TweetDeck.
Yep.
Like where I have all these saved columns. Like, what the fuck's the whole point of, like, I finally made an account on there to, like, and they never fucking synced. That always pissed me off. I made the TweetDeck account, and, like, the TweetDeck account, like, remembers my Chrome tab layout in instances of Chrome, but never synced between the iPhone or, like, they were all independent.
I remember when I switched devices, it never synced for me, but at least it remembered all my accounts, so I didn't have to go back.
Well, I only remember it working in Chrome to Chrome. I don't remember it.
Okay, yeah, Chrome was kind of a different thing. Like, they all were different things. But I tried Plume this weekend, like, because I need to find something. I would like to find something that handles multiple accounts, and that handles, that can do Facebook as well. Like, both of those would be really cool to have. So I tried Plume, and, while I was at MomoCon, I sent a couple pictures, and Plume just...
Oh, yeah, I saw your tweets of, like that picture went twice, because I got no confirmation, or you got a confirmation a day later?
Friday, I got a confirmation. Or Friday, I sent it out. And then Saturday, of course, I've got Juice Defender on, so it will shut down 4G as soon as I, am not using the phone. But it didn't even give me, like TweetDeck will give a notification that says, hey, that picture didn't send. It's kind of a mess, and it's broken on me, but at least I know what just happened. With Plume, I'm just like, okay, I'll try sending it again. Screw it, whatever. And then, on Sunday I had my phone out, and I think I was sending an email, and then bam, suddenly it worked. Who knew? But, yeah, between that and Google Reader, I just... Remember when web apps were the thing of the future? Oh.
Well, Twitter killed that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this vibrant app ecosystem, and Twitter fucked that over with shutting down the API and pulling it back in. And it was also fucked, because every Twitter innovation came from apps.
Well, I think
photos came from apps, retweets came from apps, hashtags came from apps, all these things, lists came from apps. All these things were done in apps first, and then Twitter adopted them. If you really think about it, since Twitter has shut down and done this bullshit, forget apps. What new things and innovative things have happened in Twitter?
Well, Twitter kind of hit a level of maturity where, okay, there's some things there's a lot of, it hasn't moved forward, but it hasn't needed, retweets were necessary, hashtags were necessary. They can't add too much without getting past the minimalism. You think retweets are necessary
now?
Yes.
But it was first an app developer
I agree.
who put that button in who made you realize, oh, you're right. It's like Twitter. We didn't... Before Twitter, if I would have told you Twitter was necessary, you would have been like, what?
Yes.
What the fuck? Are you on crack?
Yes.
Or if you hit the pipe with some crack cocaine.
You need an intervention.
And then, same with hashtags. And, how that would become, memes would all of a sudden be hashtags and trending topics on Twitter and shit, So all of those things, yeah. I'm sorry, it's just too coincidental. All that type of innovation stops at the same time they shut down their access to their API.
Well, I don't think they've completely shut down access to their...
They've said that you cannot have access to an API to make a client.
Really?
You can only have access to the API for integration into other services. So, if Facebook wants to connect to Twitter, then you can...
I was not aware.
You can do that. No, you are not, as a developer, allowed to make a client.
I think technically... Because I was going to say, Plume has... I saw this option in Plume. You can either use Twitter's 1.0 API or 1.1 API. I think the reason TweetDeck is shutting down is because they're pulling the 1.0 API. And, of course, they're not updating TweetDeck to use the 1.1 because...
I still use TweetDeck Air because it was the better TweetDeck. I use Chrome in several places, but... Fuck you, Internet. This has been a shitty week for the Internet.
Yes, it has.
Between the Google Reader shit and Twitter...
Well, honestly, okay.
I understand. Your average person...
TweetDeck was a couple of weeks before.
Your average person is not keeping up with 2,000 blogs, and your average person does not have thousands of followers and are following thousands of people on Twitter. But there are a good chunk of us, and I am in that quote, that are following 2,000 blogs and are following 4,000 people. I don't know what I'm following on Twitter. It may not be 4,000. And the only way I can do that is TweetDeck and Google Reader. Those are the tools of the job that allow me to have my filters and my TweetDeck set up with all my columns that every morning I read TweetDeck and I go through my columns, what happened in Xbox Live Indie Games that I missed. I got a column for XNA Community. So if they ever fucking tweet again, I'll know about it,
Yeah. Well, what I don't understand, at least with Google Reader, I tried to keep mine pruned down, but I just, what are people using other than RSS to read stuff? Are they following Twitter, Tumblr, whatever the hell?
My belief on this is that Google, Facebook, and Twitter, who have all killed RSS, by the way. The whole RSS is dying is bullshit. It is being actively killed. RSS is dropped from Twitter. RSS is dropped from Facebook. RSS is dropped from YouTube. RSS is dropped from...
But pretty much every blogging platform, and every major blogging platform
still has it. But all I'm saying is, I used to go to a YouTube channel and I subscribed by RSS. And then the button was taken away, and then the feature was turned off.
Yeah.
Okay? and it's actively being shut down, right? It's not dying. They're Chrome. They took away the orange button in Chrome. Like, Chrome does not light up anymore when you're on.
I think you can add that as an extension.
Guess what? Is gone.
Really?
Yes, the extension is gone.
Did not even
now.
notice that.
And I believe it's because RSS is open. Nobody owns RSS. Nobody controls RSS. They want you sharing those news links in Twitter, in Facebook, and on your Google Plus page. Right?
Yeah.
That's where they want you sharing that shit. The fucked up thing about Google is Google fucking had the winning social network play. Right? Instead of, like, Google Plus is the entry, Google Plus should be, like, the page I can go to if I want to see everything in one place. But social features in the Google services I already use. Social services already in YouTube. Social is already in. It was already in Google
Google
Reader.
is in a different position. Like, Facebook is trying to be the aggregator because Facebook doesn't control a lot of those services. Google does control a lot of those services. Google can be both the aggregator and the service.
Google Reader had an awesome social feature. And I had 20, 30 people. You wouldn't follow a lot. You would follow a dedicated, few. I had 20, 30 people. I followed some of these people in no other social networks except on Google Reader. They would share stories. And I knew some guys to be like, this is my left-wing political guy, and this is my right-wing political guy. And anything in there, like, they were tolerable. Right?
Yeah.
So they weren't, like, insane.
Well, in general,
but,
you didn't
like,
post comments.
That they would share, and sometimes they would add comments, sort of felt like I'm not reading the political blogs. So if my left-wing guy and my right-wing guy are in my social network, and I go to read what they've shared, and it kept it nice and separated, like it wasn't like a munged-together feed. It was in there. I could, like, no, I'm reading the right-wing guy's shared blogs. He would share the right issues, the right side political issues that were kind of important to him, and the left guy shared the left issues that were important to him, and I kind of got like a pulse. Like, I felt like I had my digest. Yeah. My personal, I know these guys, I know they're reasonable, I know they're on different ends of a spectrum, but not that I'm saying, like, I know which is right in this situation. I just know, like, if the topic comes up, I feel like I kind of know both sides on it, right?
You get both arguments.
There was a guy I followed who shared a lot of jewelry television stuff. He just followed and tracked a lot of jewelry television stuff, and,
It worked at the company, or?
It worked at jewelry television, and he would share news articles and stuff like that from local news, a lot on jewelry television, and he was in there. Eric, Eric reads, Techco, right? You gotta find him at Techco. He reads a lot of, like, STEM blogs and child education and all that stuff, and what sucks is, like, if you email somebody a blog post, it's like a high expectation you've placed upon me, right?
Yeah.
If I email you a link, I'm like telling you, Dylan, read this.
Well, it's direct versus indirect communication.
If I share a link knowing you're subscribed to it, first of all, it's just sitting there. It's sitting there when I'm ready to get to it, which is one thing. It's not in my inbox taking up a slot, pushing everything else down.
It's kind of a convenient queue.
It's just sitting there in the background when I wake up Sunday morning, and it's like, I'm going to lay in bed and read blogs for an hour, like I do a lot of Sunday mornings. And, just catch up on, like, what's going on, what's happening in the world, what's happening in the blog I didn't have time to read during the week, and most of it is scanning headlines, is what I'm doing, just picking the interesting ones, reading a few articles. Some things are like, this is game-breaking news that I'm going to have to cover on the next podcast. And some of this stuff is just like XKCD sends me down a thing reading about how bumblebees actually fly because of that XKCD comic this week,
Yeah.
But it's passive. It's there when I want it, and it's filtered the way I want it, and I can keep up on an amazing number of blogs and news sources that way.
It is interesting that you mentioned, for example, like, politics.
But anyway, what I was saying was, like, Google had the social network. They had it. They had the activity that was going on. They had the stuff that we were sharing among each other. They had our read rates. They had all the data to create the social profiles that they want to get out of Google+, but it's like you already had that data. And then it's like the people who are sharing on YouTube. You've got that data. You've got these people in there. And then you could have launched Google Plus as like the one place to rule them all. Like, I can log in and see all my YouTube subscriptions and all my Google Reader subscriptions are over here and all the people I follow, and my circles could have been based upon the services in which I engage that people. Like, these people are your YouTube friends. These are your Google Reader friends, you know? And then, like, you might have had a platform to where I actually would have started using Google Plus as a Facebook replacement, you know? But instead, they shut down the social feature and said, like, we want you to share to Google Plus. They put a share to Google Plus button in there. But then that just like pollutes your damn timeline. Yeah. So the thing is I could go in on a Sunday morning, read my blogs, share 20 news articles, and I've pissed no one off. Yeah. You'll come in Monday and you'll see like, wow, Mike shared 20. Well, I'll read that when I have a time. If I share 20 articles at once in my news stream of Google Plus, everybody would unfollow me. Fuck you. Yes. You just dominated my wall.
And what's interesting is blogs are assumed to be kind of text heavy. They're assumed to be stuff you read. You don't share a lot of them at once, like you're saying. And I think the example of you've got your right wing and left wing guy and they share stuff as opposed to like what you get on Facebook, which is primarily images. If people are sharing something, occasionally, once in a while, especially if it's political, it's some insane, fringe website.
Right.
But it's usually an image that completely, like...
In Google Reader Social, you could comment back and have a dialogue on an article.
Yeah.
Outside of comments on the blog post. So, like, this was like a meta among the people shared.
But it's...
And I think you even see, like, if... You would see third-party comments. So, like, if I shared it to you and Nathan follows you, but I don't follow Nathan, I would still see Nathan's comments on that.
But it wasn't, and there wasn't, like, the little notification pop-ups.
No, it wasn't notification pop-up, but what I was going to say is, like, it didn't get to that Facebook level because to be in this social bubble, there was already this, like, I'm a heavy blog reader. Like, I'm a heavy reader to begin with. And the reason I'm off here in my isolated blog world is like, I don't want the Facebook noise. So those comments...
If I don't follow you, it's not because...
Yeah, those comments never got out of hand like they do on Facebook and all that.
So. Well, it's just the quality of stuff. Like so many of the especially political image shares on Facebook are just so utterly simplistic and go our team sort of stuff that it really makes... it's stupid.
I think that's it. I think Google wants to kill... RSS. They don't want RSS. RSS represents an uncontrolled source that they want you sharing all that stuff to them, posting all that stuff to them, commenting all that stuff to them.
Well, that's how you build a social network. The
funny thing is that they had that. They were just... Now, some people who did like Google Reader even come out and said, like, they never got this product inside the company. Like, as many times as we brought it up of, like, we have this data, guys. We have it already. Like, it was just ignored. And then also somebody said, like, Google settled with the EU or Germany or something for collecting the Wi-Fi data. You remember when the Street View guys went around and they collect anonymous access point data?
Yeah.
I think it was Germany or somebody, like, said they violated privacy laws and they just had to settle on that. And basically a financial analysis view was this is Google shutting down these services or shutting down these fringe services because now Google can be liable for the data it collects, and so it's controlling the data it's collecting and that it's easiest to do that by tightening its footprint. I think this might get very interesting. I think, Dig's doing a reader.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of Dig doing a news reader. Like, they kind of get some of that social blog reading from the platform they have. Yes, I know they have, like, the Facebook noise problem.
Well, not really, because New Dig basically changed.
Their voting system helps filter a lot that. But
that's all gone now.
You can't vote up and vote down stories anymore on Dig?
I don't think so. I think you can like
or is that
mark
Reddit?
them as
that's Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit is
okay.
Dig used to be that. They changed it. I think someone
really
kind of
like taken over from Dig, right? Because everybody does Reddit. Everybody does Ask Me Anything on Reddit.
I don't.
Obama's on Reddit. I mean,
again, Reddit and Tumblr are things I don't understand. Like I vaguely get them. The times I've subscribed to a Tumblr account, it's been through RSS.
Yes. I mean, that's and the ease and ubiquity of RSS allows a site like Tumblr to immediately come on the scene, because it's like, okay, I'm not going to go to tumblr.com and get into all your weird shit right now, but I am going to follow Notch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to subscribe to that. And then over time, I'm going to realize I have several Tumblr sites I follow, and I might make a Tumblr account, or I might, I only know of Tumblr because of RSS,
I think that's how I got into Twitter. And actually, the interesting thing about Google Reader...
I used to subscribe to my Twitter as RSS.
Yeah.
For a while, when it was much smaller traffic.
Yeah, the interesting thing about...
And then I saved searches as RSS.
Yeah. Google Reader, though, it hit the sweet spot. It had a really good web application as a really good mobile application. Again, it's kind of like with replacing TweetDeck. Finding something that does...
Well, no, I think Google Reader dominated because it was free.
Well, yeah, I mean, it dominated...
Prior to Google Reader, there wasn't really...
It dominated because it was free, but the difficulty in replacing it is finding something that does both. Just kind of like the difficulty in finding something that does, TweetDeck for mobile. It has, clean... It had a very clean UI. It did Twitter. It actually did several different... social services. It did Foursquare, it did Facebook, and it handles multiple accounts.
We haven't started the show.
I noticed.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
I don't know if you read my tweet.
But...
Did you read my tweet?
No. Well, yes.
Because I don't know if somebody, I see that Jim
Crap, I didn't even realize it was...
Yeah, I see that Jim's in the chat, and I'm wondering if, they think this is just something that died.
No, okay.
No, it's not. We haven't even started the show. Let's, God. I just got bitter because I saw, hey, they fucking they're killing TweetDeck. Alright.